11 trillion naira wasted in 13 years on the moribund state-owned refineries. Underpinning all of this is the issue of corruption and its corrosive impact on all aspects of governance. Like his predecessors, Tinubu has made promises to fight corruption. Nigerians and the international community anxiously wait to see if he can, or whether, like his predecessors, he will buckle under the weight of the monstrous burden. For one thing, the prevailing political machinery in Nigeria by which he climbed to power is utterly corrupt. The party primaries that threw him and his opponents in other parties up were filled with open distribution of what many called cash to delegates. Many of the leading personalities of all major political parties are accused of corrupt practices, and many are under official investigation for grafts. The president's promise to fight corruption has been muted, while his 80-page manifesto, 10-point agenda, and inaugural speech itemized his program in greater detail on power, the economy, fuel subsidy removal, and other sectors. He had only one-liner on fighting corruption. For anti-corruption crusaders, this raises some anxiety, especially so as his immediate predecessor and ally, Muhammadu Buhari, was vociferous but eventually succumbed to state capture. Can Tinubu tame corruption or fight corruption? For Nigeria to eradicate poverty and fulfill its potential, he needs to. As a matter of fact, described as fantastically corrupt by former British Prime Minister David Cameron, Nigeria is sinking under the weight of grafts. There is a consensus that corruption stifles economic growth and development, deprives the government of revenue, devalues the quality of human life, robs school, agricultural sectors, hospitals, and welfare services of funds. A global consultancy, PwC, says the loss to GDP from grafts in Nigeria will climb to 37% by 2030 if left untamed. Also, all his four predecessors in the Fourth Republic failed miserably to defeat corruption. Tinubu should set the pace by publicly declaring his asset. He should avoid the nepotism and family-run cronyism that Buhari personified and ensured his failure. Nigeria is not a monarchy. Appointments, governance, and policies must reflect its ethnic, regional, and sectarian diversity. Anything contrary is corruption. Everyone needs an overall commander and coordinator. The last president neither took charge nor appointed and backed an overall coordinator to lead the fight. Without coordination and with an inattentive president, the war will falter. It should take a cue from Singapore and China. The anti-corruption campaign led by Chinese President Xi Jinping has ensnared the high and mighty. Singapore's leaders pursue a policy of zero tolerance or influence spending in the anti-corruption war. Tinubu deludes himself if he believes he can salvage Nigeria's insecurity, economy, and the country without taming corruption. For Nigeria's sake, he should commit strongly to this task. And of course, on that note, I welcome you to the podium this morning. And this is coming to you live from 32 FM 94.9. And of course, you know that this is one top notch of your political program on radio. And of course, we're going to dissect issues today. There are a number of national issues begging for attention. I guess you're going to be joining us virtually this morning. And of course, we're going to be discussing in details as to what has been going on in the country, especially when we look at all of the factors that have been limiting against our economic growth in the country. Yes, there is a new marshal in town. We have a new president. But is Nigeria feeling what appears to be a fresh order of another leadership, or what we've been actually facing in the past 8 years has actually continued? Some people have said that, but how do we manage our economy? How do we deal with instances of corruption? Now we have another monster that many Nigerians have been talking about over time, talking about fuel subsidy. And of course, now a liter of fuel goes for as much as over 500 plus, or even from 480 naira to about 540 something naira now to get a liter of fuel in Nigeria. So it's actually not what used to be. All right, just to remind you again that we are on our socials. You can actually join us on our socials quickly on Facebook as well, to also drop your comment on the podium this morning. And that is 32 FM 949 Ibadan on Facebook and also on YouTube. And you would also have the opportunity to call us in the course of our discussions this morning. My name is Gbolabo, Famous School. And of course, Prof is also joining us on the platform this morning. Prof, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to you all, the listeners.
All right.
Beautiful Saturday morning.
Okay, so we'll have our guest. Our guest will be joining us very shortly. Virtually, we'll have Mr. Dino Odeyemi. Is one of the stalwart of the People's Democratic Party here in Ibadan. He'll be joining us, and of course, Dr. Shola from Abuja will also be joining us. He's a policy strategist, and of course, from the University of Ibadan, talking about international peace and of course international peace and strategies and security. He will also be joining us from Abuja, and those are our two guests virtually that will be discussing with us this morning. And of course we are looking at the instances of fuel subsidy, and it has become a cankerworm, a major crisis in our polity today. It is disturbing and, of course, is mind-boggling. All right, we'll take this accept. There is a particular soundbite I want us to dissect this morning, first of all, before actually having our guest being brought on board. And, of course, that's from Benedict. Benedict is just like any other Nigerian whose voice, according to him, cannot be tamed. And of course, he's not apparently happy, and he feels that he's feeling the pulse of Nigerians. And he's also telling us that there are a lot of things that we don't know that we need to pay attention to. He's made allegations against the media and even those who call themselves, or according to his words, those who are professionals who said they are expert in the energy sector. He said they've all are complicit when it comes to the issue of fuel subsidy. Now, you also hear what he said about the media, that the media hasn't done so much in terms of how much more, what subsidy means, and who are those who are receiving the subsidy monies. And these are the things that he actually laid issues around. All right, we're going to listen to Benedict and also analyze some of the things that he brought up here.
Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9.
Ìfẹ́ tí kò lábàwọ́n ni ìfẹ́ ìyá jẹ́. Bẹ́ẹ̀ kò sí ohun tó dùn tó bíi Indomie alájẹpọnu lákọlọ. Nítorí náà, fi ìfẹ́ hàn pẹ̀lú Indomie.
Gbogbo ẹ̀yà rẹ̀ dá. Pàtàkì lójú jẹ́. Èyí ló mú àjọ Charity Eye Care Foundation máa pe gbogbo ẹ̀yin tó bá ní àdójúkọ àti ìpènijà nípa ojú láti darapọ̀ mẹ́ ètò àyẹ̀wò ojú. Tí yóò wá sópin ní ọjọ́ kọkànlélógún oṣù kẹfà ọdún tí a wà yìí 21/6/2023. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá ní àdójúkọ tàbí ìpènijà nípa ojú. Ẹ darapọ̀ mẹ́ ètò àyẹ̀wò ojú yìí pẹ̀lú 1,000 naira péré owó káàdì. Reading glasses wà nílẹ̀ rẹpẹtẹ fún gbogbo ẹni tó nílò rẹ̀ lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́. Ọ̀fẹ́ tún ní àyẹ̀wò fún gbogbo ẹni tó fẹ́ jẹ àǹfààní àyẹ̀wò àti ìtọ́jú ojú yìí fún ìrọ̀rùn gbogbo olùkópa. Àǹfààní bẹ láti lo POS and transfer láìsí extra charges. Ẹ máa bọ̀ ní nọ́mbà 94 opposite Unity Bank Penny Concert Building Ìyànà Àgbẹ̀lẹ̀ bus stop nítòsí olówó tí fowó ṣàánú shopping complex Ìwó Road Nìbàdàn. Bẹ̀rẹ̀ látago 9 àárọ̀ di aago 4 ìrọ̀lẹ́ lójoojúmọ́. Fúrẹ́rì àlàyé ẹ pé 0905 444 8444 lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí 0905 444 8444. Ojú wa kò ní ìrẹ́lẹ́dẹ̀ wá o. Ìgbésẹ̀ làmí ẹ̀.
32 gladiators embarked on the quest to become Europe's finest. Many ran after steam, others fell to the sword. Only one team can cross the gates into Istanbul, where the treasure lies. And only one can be crowned champions of Europe.
And they're toying with them. Bernardo Silva, yeah! You don't say that one!
Will Pep Guardiola and the citizens finally bring home the much-coveted Champions League trophy, or will the Nerazzurris repeat the heroics of 2010? It's the UEFA Champions League Final 2023, and 32 FM 94.9 will bring pictures, unbeatable commentaries, and quality analysis from Istanbul to Ibadan. Live at the Racecourse Amphitheatre at Damasinga on the 10th of June 2023. There will be side attractions starting up from 12 noon, which will set the tone for Europe's biggest club competition final between Manchester City and Inter Milan. Games like snooker, table tennis, Ludo, Ayolokmo, chess, Scrabble, and many more will be available for your pleasure. There will be VIP seats. For reservations or sponsorship inquiries, please call 0703 476 7684 or 0703 602 1608. This event is proudly sponsored by Imperial Blue and powered by your Joy Station 32 FM 949. Champions League final in Ibadan. Don't be left out. This event is absolutely free.
Iléyá bẹ̀rẹ̀ gẹ̀tẹ̀ promo Let's Properties pẹ̀lú Bambia Homes máa sanwó náà di láńlọ́ọ̀dù.
Ọdún iléyá àtọ́dún ìgangan nìwọ náà máa kú lẹ́gbẹ́ ayálégbé. Wàá ralẹ̀, wàá tún kọ́lé. Iléyá bẹ̀rẹ̀ gẹ̀tẹ̀ promo lórí ilẹ̀ Let's Property. Ìyẹn Orange Park and Garden tó wà ládojúkọ Ìdó Police Station. Ìdó ológun ẹ̀rú ń bàdàn. Ìrìn ìṣẹ́jú mẹ́wàá ní sírìlúwé tó ń bọ̀ látẹ̀kọ́. Ìwọ náà wàá ralẹ̀ plot ní 1.1 million naira. Tó o bá ti san 500,000 naira. Àgbò kan tó nírọ̀rọ̀ lọ́rùn ló máa gbà. Pẹ̀lú 250,000 wàá gba báàgì ráìsì kan àkùkọ dìyẹ kan tó o bá wá san 150,000 àkùkọ dìyẹ kan ráìsì 10 kg gbogbo ẹni tó bá san deposit 50,000 naira ẹ̀bùn ló ń bẹ ńlẹ̀ rẹpẹtẹ bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti wá ń ralẹ̀ Let's Bambia o ṣetán láti kún yín lọ́wọ́ bá yín kọ́lé pẹ̀lú owó péréte tó wà lọ́wọ́ yín yẹn àlàyé àti àdéhùn bẹ lórí ẹ o ẹ máa bọ̀ lọ́fíìsì wa tó wà lẹ́yìn GTB Ajébádé bus stop Sango Mọ́kọ́lá road nìbàdàn 09025 454087 08062431303.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
$30 per barrel. One barrel can refine 170 liters of refined petroleum product. One barrel. So that means that if you divide $30 by 170, your cost of production comes to about 18 cents per liter. That's the cost of production. And that cost of production is directly the landing cost based on the direct sale, direct purchase arrangement with the refineries. What they call consortium is actually an arrangement with the refineries. That is glaring. So no money has been paid for subsidy for the past 8 years. Categorically, I'm making this statement. I'm beginning the process of working with CSO, civil society organizations. We need to hold some people accountable. If the government will not hold them accountable, we will hold them accountable. We will sue people. Monies that have been paid under the false pretense of subsidy must be returned. We will make sure they are returned compulsorily, and people must go to jail for defrauding a whole nation and plunging Nigerians into poverty. Another thing that stands out is the seeming ignorance of our media and our so-called oil and gas experts. The seeming ignorance. They come out and they tell you that government can no longer afford to pay for subsidy. Yet they are experts. They are experts who understand the details, the fine details of the direct sale, direct purchase arrangement of the NNPC. So if they really do, then it means that they are complicit. I'm talking about our so-called oil and gas experts now and our so-called media. Because when you see all of the business programs on all of the TV, meaning that they claim to know what the DSDP arrangement is and who government is paying our subsidy money to. They claim to know. So the media must now come out and tell us these trillions of naira that NNPC claims it is paying on subsidy, which companies are they paying them to? Because from the details, the documents that we have obtained, NNPC does not pay a single dime. Shingbai, not a dime, not 1 cent, not $1, does not pay $1 to anybody as subsidy payment. Another thing that also comes out from our findings is the fact that no oil marketer, whether independent marketer, whether major marketer, no oil marketer needs to source for forex, needs to source for dollar to bring in crude based on the direct sale, direct purchase arrangement of the NNPC. Protesting will not stop this. We need to sue them. They need to bring back our money. They need to pay us back our money. One fantastic thing that we have discovered from the documents we have is that the landing cost of fuel is actually between 80 and 90 naira. So if NNPC is selling at 165, NNPC is making over 100% profit. NNPC is making profit. And on top of that, we are earning dollars. So there should not be pressure on our naira. So Emir Fele must come and tell us now, why is it that there is pressure on our naira by claiming that people are trying to access forex? Access forex how?
All right, you're welcome back. You're still on to the podium on 32 FM 94.9. Of course, my name is Gbolabo, famous call, and those are the issues. And Olomo is just one of us as Nigerians, and of course, he's speaking out his mind, and he's accused the media of actually not doing the needful, and even the oil and gas expert here being complicit in all of this aspect itself. Let me quickly introduce you again to our panelists. You're already seated in the studio. I have Barrister Yomi Ogunlola with us also in the studios this morning. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning, Nigeria, and good morning, studio. Nice to be here.
All right, again, we still have Professor Remy Ayede joining us too in the studios this morning. Good morning. I'm happy listening. All right, we also have our guests waiting virtually to also join us in this conversation this morning. We have Dr. Sholai Shola from the UI, from the Peace and Strategic Studies Department in the UI. And of course, we have Mr. Diron Deyemi, who is a stalwart of the People's Democratic Party. You are welcome, sirs, in this conversation this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, let me start off by the direct sale and direct purchase that Benedict actually talked about. And he asked the very critical questions that this question has to do with where are the monies of subsidies going into? Who is NNPC paying all of this monies to? And of course, what the NNPC is making us understand is that May 2021, that there was a bid process. And out of this bid process for the arrangement of the DSDP, talking about the direct sale, direct purchase arrangement, there were 16 consortia for this new crude for fuel swap contract for 1 year starting in August. That's in 2021, sources with direct knowledge of the matter said the list include major Swiss trading firms, Trafigura, Vital, and Mercuria, all major total, as well as large Nigerian traders, Sahara Energy. And now there is this question that NNPC has not been paying any company subsidy. So where are all of this money going into? But from the records, NNPC is telling us that the likes of Oando Sahara Energy has been involved in all of these processes. Now, let me start off with the panelists in the studios before actually shooting at our guests who are waiting virtually. Now, Barrister, what do we make out of what Benedict is saying? Is he exaggerating the issues here? Are the media complicit by not giving the right information? Or even the oil and gas expert, like he said NNPC has not been remitting, has not been paying any money, and that subsidy is a scam. How do we address this?
Well, I think the submissions of the gentleman are quite revealing. And I think a very big challenge for the press. For quite a while, I have always said it, that the Nigerian press appears to have gone asleep at the time its services is most needed. Of course, it is understandable. Majority of those who own the press are the culprits, in the illegalities that we talk about. The findings of the gentleman are quite revealing. And then I ask myself, for quite a long time, we have been asking the government to publish the names of those who are benefiting from the so-called subsidy. But up till now, we appear not to have gotten anything. And then you ask yourself another question. Why the submissions of the gentleman is worthy of scrutiny? The tank farms that we have in Nigeria, what is the total capacity of the tank farms that we have in Nigeria relative to what these people are telling us they are bringing into Nigeria? Do we have capacity for 287 million liters of PMS in Nigeria? If you take all of the tank farms all across the country together, do we have capacity for that? If we don't have capacity for that, where do they drop the excesses of the so-called PMS that they are bringing into Nigeria? The truth of the matter is he who spares the guilty punishes the innocent. And because the Nigerian state has spared the evildoers, Nigerian innocents are bearing the brunt.
All right, Prof. The gentleman has also talked about the fact that Tinubu has inherited what appears to be another scam. And of course, he's actually dwindling and dwelling in the scam that has been there for long, talking about fee subsidy, that there is nothing like subsidy, like he said. Prof, what do we make out of what he said?
I think he's making a very important point there. If you look at the history of the scandal around this so-called fuel subsidy. I remember around 2012, there was this altercation between Otedola's Xenon Oil and the members of the House of Representatives, where he accused Lawal of collecting bribes for him in order to remove his company from the list of those who collected foreign exchange but never imported any oil. And the case was supposed to have been referred to the EFCC for prosecution. And as we speak today, even though Mr. Otedola came publicly to name the amount that was collected from him, I mean, in dollars, $3 million, and that was the demand, but they've paid $500,000 in 2 installments to members of the House of Representatives. As we speak today, a decade later, no news about what came as consequences for both Mr. Otedola, his company, and then, of course, the dishonorable members of the House of Representatives. It was the House of Representatives Committee that decided to investigate the subsidy, and then they opened up a can of worms. So if we look closely, if the subsidy regime is thoroughly investigated, chances are that we'll be reeling in several scandal situations around that subsidy.
All right, quickly, let's join our guest virtually right now. And of course, I will be starting off with Mr. Dino Odeyemi, who is a PDP stalwart. Now, let's take a look at this from the political aspect of it, Mr. Dino. Now, we know that many people have said that the issue of subsidy is more than economical. This is politicized, and politicians are actually milking the country dry in terms of actually saying that they are paying subsidies like what we've heard in time past. Now, President Bola Tinubu is also being brought to the table, the slaughter table here, as a result of the policies around subsidy, because many people feel that he too is actually dining with the corrupt process of saying we have to remove subsidy. The question many have been asking is that, was it subsidy in the first place? Now, what do we make out of some of these allegations and counter-allegations we've been hearing, and how much more the media, because the media is also brought to the fore here, that media is also playing to the tune of the political leadership in the country. Now, what do you make out of it? What is your understanding out of all of this?
Well, I think
that's for Dino Odeyemi here. Okay.
The professor who spoke before, you threw a question at me, really spoke my mind.
I hope, yeah.
There are a lot of unanswered questions. There are a lot of things we don't even know as citizens and as politicians, as professionals. When you are talking of subsidy removal, how much was the government putting in to subsidize this product? Does anybody have the figure? I very much doubt it. The people who are benefiting from this subsidy, who are they? Do we have a record? Definitely no. So you are asking me a question that I don't even know the genesis or how to answer it. Just like an ordinary Nigerian. You see, it is only in a civilized country abroad that before a policy is introduced, there will have been cushioning effect. There will have been proper planning. There will have been adequate orientation for the people. Here we are. Overnight, subsidy has been removed. And the pump price is now 570 somewhere, 500 somewhere. Where do we go from here? We are dealing with a country that the leadership are completely confused, both the outgone and the incoming. Because if at all the Buhari administration say that, yes, we are removing subsidy. The incoming one should have a way of, studying the situation before they go into it and, take it hook, line, and sinker and say, yes, we are removing subsidy. There are a lot of things that are wrong. And this is just the beginning of many troubles that, we come with this administration. I'm not a prophet of doom. And my prayer is that Tinubu should succeed as a president. But there are a lot of things that needed to be planned. There are a lot of information that needed to be known before we can know where we are going. If you don't know the cause of a problem, definitely you won't know the solution. So we have found ourselves in a terrible situation in this country that since NSC has given their mandate or has given a warning that by Wednesday they are going to strike, only God knows what is going to be the end or the outcome of that. Don't forget the security situation in the country does not even warrant, the NSC going to strike. Because the people who are aggrieved politically about the emergence of President Tinubu, we latch on it. The people who are supporting Obi will likely catch, support, the strike. And from there, we are ruining this country economically. We are in trouble. Let me put it that way. And it's quite unfortunate that we find ourselves in this situation.
Actually, not against your person, but do you think, honestly, as an opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, you've done enough in terms of opposition? Because we look at all of these policies for the past 8 years. Buhari has been there from one policy to the other. And of course, what he met fuel per litre is not what we have it today. And now you've been on the opposition for that stretch. And we knew, as a matter of fact, when the All Progressives Congress, then it was more or less the ACN, were in the opposition, we saw how much more they talked about the policies of the PDP. They educate the people. But in all sincerity, do you think your party, the People's Democratic Party, did enough as an opposition party to look at some of the weaknesses that we saw in the past administration for the last 8 years, which many Nigerians are mentioning, like not paying and remitting coming from the NNPC? We keep asking, why is the NNPC not being audited? What is the processes of transactions between the NNPC and some of the DSDP arrangement that NNPC said it had? Now it's an NNPCL, meaning that it's taken out of a corporation. It's more of a company thing, and of course businesses, but of business. Now, do you in all diligence, do you think that the PDP has done enough as an opposition in this country?
You see, I will answer that question in 2 dimensions. Number one, politics in Nigeria is not about the best. It's about how much you are able to spend, and it's about how much you are able to manipulate. That's my conclusion, and that's my personal opinion. It's not about the best. If it were to be about the best, we will not be here where we are this morning. So that may be philosophical. Then looking at PDP as a political party, we are saying we have not done that. We have not done enough. We have been out of government for how many years now? So it will be wrong for anybody to say, yes, PDP should be held responsible for whatever. We don't have any power. We are not in government. We can only shout, we can only campaign, we can only say, yes, this is what we are going to do. But if the masses in their wisdom feel that this is the person we want, majority carries the vote, and that's the beauty of democracy. The question you're asking me now would have been ideal if PDP were to be in government. No, it's the continuation of APC. And like NYSC, with due respect, with due apology, now your sovereignty continues. That's what it means. Because we base our campaign on the fact that this party has not done enough for the country. Let the masses vote them out. But if the masses decide in their wisdom that, yes, we still want this political party to continue, so be it. We are all in it together. Those are my answers, please.
All right, let me quickly move to Doctor before coming down to our panelists who may also have 1 or 2 questions to ask. Now, Dr. Shola, you're joining us from Abuja, and of course, I think that you'll be able to give us a good perspective of what it is like in Abuja in terms of having access to fuel. And of course, here in Ibadan, you can drive in and drive out. It has to do with your pocket here. But then if you look at all of these processes, Doctor, now you are a policy strategist. Does it make any sense from what we heard from Benedict, the young man who was actually saying that more heads should roll? We don't need strike. We don't need to go on the street protesting. We must have those who have led the petroleum sector give an account. And of course, this head has to start from even the past government, those who have handled the energy sector, the oil and gas sector. He's saying all of them must be held accountable, not even excluding Mele Kyari. Now, if we put all of this together, he talked about the DSDP, that's the direct sale, direct purchase arrangement of the NNPC, because NNPC doesn't want a middleman. They wanted to have a direct transaction with some of these companies where they will have swap of crude oil for fuel. Now, our refineries are still there. Moribund, it's not working. We have a private sector-driven refinery by Dangote. Now, what do you make out of all of this, Prof? And what's the situation right there in Abuja now?
Thank you very much. We all know that the oil subsidy has always been mired in controversies and, of course, in corruption. What the situation is stable in Abuja, just like in any other part of the country. Fuel is available. People are, going into the filling stations, buying and coming out. But it is the cost that is the real issue now. Now, I quite agree with the first presentation that there's a problem with the so-called subsidy. Now, sometimes ago, the NNPC was privatized, and they are the sole importer of fuel into this country. Now, the question is, where does the subsidy go? Does it go to a private company, which is the NNPC? And in what form is it going to the NNPC? And in what ways are the government benefiting from the kind of subsidies that is going to the NNPC? Because there is no private person who is coming out now and saying they are denying them the subsidy, or that they have not been paying the subsidy since the NNPC, became the only company that has been importing. So just like the presenter said, there are a lot of investigations that should take place, and there are a lot of prosecution that must take place, because this country has been defrauded to the tune of trillions. There's no doubt about that. So, but I also agree that the present government is also a continuation of the past government, So, but I think it is, immoral if we have voted a government into, a new government, and that new government decided to part over all the anomalies that they meet on the ground. So what I would rather say is that by the time the problem starts now, because the NLC has actually, asserted that they are going to start the trouble as from next week. By the time the trouble starts now, the government will be forced to take steps, and they will be forced to investigate and reveal what actually is happening. Well, I don't trust in the EFCC in this situation because, of course, it is the same individuals that has, bought over the entire country that is also, the owners of the EFCC. So I would have said the EFCC should focus maybe in the next few weeks on investigating the whole process and reveal some of the things that is happening. But I know that the EFCC will not be able to do that. But by the time the public protest begins, I think the government will be forced to reveal certain things that are still mysterious about the situation we have found ourselves in this country.
All right, let me move down to the panelists now, and I'll start from Barrister Yomi Ogunlola. Do you questions, Barrister?
I am so very, very happy with the submission of our second guest, because he actually asked a question that had been burning in my mind. If we say NNPC is the sole importer, if we agree that NNPC entered into the DSDP arrangement, that is the direct sale, direct purchase arrangement, where do subsidy takers come in? So, the question now is not about removing subsidy. The question now is to find out from all the revelations that are emerging, to find out whether subsidy is real or contrived. And the question I have, which may be taken by both of our guests, is the present administration capable of doing that for Nigerians? Is the present administration capable of unveiling the truth that has been hidden under the subsidy scam?
All right, I think we'll start from Mr. Dinro Odeyemi before we go down to Dr. Shola Ishola. Mr. Dinro, can you hear us?
Uh-oh.
Okay, then maybe we'll go to Dr. Shola Ishola. Doctor, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, please.
All right, there is a question that is being asked by Barrister Yomi Ogunlola. I don't know if you got the question.
I mean, it's the same question that I asked, actually, you know.
Now he's talking about the capability. Does the Tinubu government, like he's saying, can it look into the books?
Yeah, you know, it will be difficult because it's a continuation of the Buhari government. And they have been, you know, padding over these issues for, I mean, in the last 8 years of Buhari government, they have been padding over the same, issue. That means there are things that they are keeping away from the public. And if they are not going to, if they are not able to expose all of those things, I doubt if the current government, will be able to. Because the question is, what is the morality of, subsidizing NNPC activities, NNPC that has been privatized, So who are those other individuals who are collecting the subsidy from the CBN? So the entire processes from the government to the CBN, to the NNPC, to the marketers, all of these things should be investigated and exposed. Otherwise, we won't get to the bottom of this matter.
Can Tinubu government do this probing diligently? Questions will be asked like, who owns Oando? Oando has been mentioned in a consortia here.
Well, I doubt if Tinubu government can do it. It's not only Oando, the entire government of the so-called marketers and distributors, are mad in corruption. So, what my opinion is that until we reach, if the NLC is serious, because again, there are some doubts about the sincerity of the of the NLC itself, because they have been existing in these countries for years when all the corruptions are taking place, and they have not been saying anything. Okay, so but if they are really serious, by the time the trouble comes, I think the government will be forced to do the needful.
All right, we have to pay some bills now. We'll be back shortly after this.
Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9.
ẹni tí ò bá mọ̀nà kì í dá pàdépàdé a jẹ́ pé gbogbo ẹni tó bá ń dàrọ̀kọ̀ àti lọ gbé kàwé tàbí ṣiṣẹ́ lókè òkun léyìíkéyìí orílẹ̀-èdè bíi Canada, UK, Cyprus, Australia tó fi mọ́ ọ̀pọ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè ní Europe. Bauhop Consult ni ẹ bá dòwò pọ̀ bí wọ́n ṣe mójúlẹ́jà àti bániṣètò ìrìn àjò sókè òkun ni wọ́n tún jẹ́ aṣojú ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ilé ẹ̀kọ́ nílẹ̀ aláwọ̀ funfun fẹ́nikẹ́ni tó bá fẹ́ kàwé nílùú òyìnbó wọ́n ń bániṣètò iṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú ìrànwọ́ ètò ẹ̀yáwó fákẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ìyẹn student loan tó fi mọ́ scholarship bí ọgọ́lá àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó bá ṣe IELTS lọ́dọ̀ wọn ṣàṣeyọrí a jẹ́ pé boko bá jìnnà lákìíkò Bauhop Consult wà wà ní number 5 Liberty Stadium Road àdójúkọ Lano House off Òkè-Àdó Ìbàdàn. ẹ̀ka wọn sì wà ní 15/17 Solaron Plaza Akówọjọ Road Ẹ̀gbẹ́dá nípínlẹ̀ Èkó. fún àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ ẹ pè 0815-677-6425 website www.bauhopconsult.com.ng. ó wà lórí ìkànnì ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ gbogbo Twitter, Facebook àti Instagram @Bauhop Consult. kọ́kọ́rọ́ tó ṣílẹ̀kùn àti tẹkọ̀ létí lọ sókè òkun.
Nǹkan tí mo bá ṣe ò ní fẹ́ mi láì ní òdiwọ̀n. Ó tó gbẹ́kẹ̀lé lójoojúmọ́. Kò sóhun tí mo bá ṣe ó fi fẹ́ hàn mí.
Ìfẹ́ tí kò lábàwọ́n ni ìfẹ́ ìyá jẹ́. Bẹ́ẹ̀ kò sí ohun tó dùn tó bíi Indomie alájẹpọnu lákọlọ. Nítorí náà, fi ìfẹ́ hàn pẹ̀lú Indomie.
Ó fi fẹ́ hàn mí.
bí ìmọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ ṣe ń fẹjú kẹ̀kẹ́ sí i ní ìkànsíra ẹni tó jágere náà ṣe pàtàkì. èyí gan ló sọ ẹ̀rọ ìbáraẹnisọ̀rọ̀ gidi di ohun pàtàkì téèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ ní. kéèyàn náà lè máa mọ gbogbo bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ lórílẹ̀‐èdè àgbáyé kí wọ́n wá lọ máa pa fífún yàn lóyìnbó. láti wá rí àwọn ẹ̀rọ ìbáraẹnisọ̀rọ̀ tó débẹ̀ débẹ̀rà yàtọ̀ sáwọn panápẹ́ ẹ̀rọ ìpè tí mò ń sọ ní bàárànù. ó yá ní iShow Gadget tó wà ní Ìwó Road Ìbàdàn. ilé ìtajà ẹ̀rọ ìbáraẹnisọ̀rọ̀ tó ń ta àwọn ẹ̀rọ ìpè ìgbàlódé ayára fẹ́fẹ́ lójú òpó ìkànnì ayélujára. lówó pọ́kú tí ò ga jara lọ kò wá séyìíkéyìí ẹ̀rọ ìbáraẹnisọ̀rọ̀ bíi iPhone, Samsung, Tecno, Infinix, Xiaomi, itel tàbí gadget tẹ́ ní bá nílé ìtajà wọn. tó bá fẹ́ ra ẹ̀rọ ìbáraẹnisọ̀rọ̀ san díẹ̀díẹ̀ pẹ̀lú àdéhùn àti àsọtẹ́lẹ̀ tí ò múnira kankan dání. tètè máa lọ sí iShow Gadget tó wà ní iShow Building lẹ́yìn Lagos Ìkòròdú garage Àbáyọ̀mí Fanáwọlé Road Ìwó Road Ìbàdàn. ẹ̀lọ́ wọn 09014579517 tàbí 07061751995. iShow Gadget ibìkan ṣoṣo tó ti lè rí ẹ̀rọ ìbáraẹnisọ̀rọ̀ tó dúró re.
I will lift up mine eyes to the hills. My help comes from the Lord. Experience God's mighty power, working miracles, transforming lives and destinies through His anointed servant, Prophet Taiwojo, at 72 Hours with God from Friday 9th to Sunday 11th of June. Theme, Help from Above. Join us with your loved ones to receive the help you need from God. Every struggle and sorrow shall be terminated by God's supernatural presence and power at Mercy Camp Osengiri Ibadan from Friday 9th to Sunday 11th of June. Ministering Prophet Taiwojo and other anointed ministers of God. Music ministrations by Bukola Akínyadé Ṣẹ̀wẹ̀lẹ̀ Jésù, Bísí Aláwìyé Àlùkò, Elijah Akíntúndé Ọlọ́run Sọ̀bẹ́, Gbẹ̀ngà Adénúgà, Bridget Adénúbí, Àtinúkẹ́ Ẹ̀rí Májẹ̀mú, and many others. Please note, we shall be rounding off early Monday morning. For more information, please call 0902-011-3558. 72 Hours with God. Come, don't miss it.
Canada needs immigration to massively drive our economy and help fill the huge labor shortages. The government of Canada will allow only those who will be employable to get the permanent visa. Jonathan King Limited will assist professionals, graduates, and artisans in various fields and trades to go to Canada and prosper. Education in Canada is not just one of the best in the world, it is one of the cheapest. Jonathan King Limited will help students secure full-time graduate and postgraduate admissions to tertiary institutions. Full-time students are allowed to work in Canada. There are also opportunities for scholarships, grants, or at least interest-free loans. Pick up a registration form immediately at Jonathan King Limited, 1st and 6th floors, Cocoa House, Ibadan. Jonathan King Limited, 1st floor, God's Grace Plaza, 65 Allen Avenue, Ikeja, Lagos.
Registration ends 20th of June, 2023.
32 gladiators embarked on a quest to become Europe's finest. Many ran after steam, others fell to the sword. Only one team can cross the gates into Istanbul, where the treasure lies. And only one can be crowned champions of Europe.
And they're toying with them. Bernardo Silva, yeah! You don't say that
Will Pep Guardiola and the citizens finally bring home the much-coveted Champions League trophy, or will the Nerazzurris repeat the heroics of 2010? It's the UEFA Champions League Final 2023, and 32FM 94.9 will bring pictures, unbeatable commentaries, and quality analysis from Istanbul to Ibadan. Live at the Racecourse Amphitheatre at Damasinga on the 10th of June 2023. There will be side attractions starting off from 12 noon, which will set the tone for Europe's biggest club competition final between Manchester City and Inter Milan. Games like snooker, table tennis, ludo, ayolokmo, chess, Scrabble, and many more will be available for your pleasure. There will be VIP seats. For reservations or sponsorship inquiries, please call 0703 476 7684 or 0703 602 1608. This event is proudly sponsored by Imperial Blue and powered by your Joy Station 32 FM 949. Champions League final in Ibadan. Don't be left out. This event is absolutely free.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
Welcome back. You're still on to 32 FM 94.9 and the program is The Podium. Do remember we're live on our socials. That's on Facebook, 32 FM 949 Ibadan on Facebook, and also on YouTube. You can also drop your comment and also join the conversation right there. All right, before I go down to Prof, is also here as one of our panelists. I guess we have Mr. Dino Deyemi back. Mr. Dino, do we have you back? Can you hear me, Mr. Dino? All right, while we'll scramble with that, while we look at having him back on, yes, we were actually looking at the capability of this government to actually bring those that have been found questionable here to book. All right, let's see if we have him back. Mr. Dino, do we have you here with us? Okay, I think network is playing a fast one on us here. We still have Dr. Shola still on our virtual platform all the way from Abuja, also still there. All right, let me quickly go to Prof. Prof, do you have any questions for Dr. Shola?
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Shola. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Prof.
Okay, great. You have just moved into the question of the capacity of the NLC and the whether it still enjoys the legitimacy among Nigerian masses to pull off a strong resistance to this policy. I'm asking you to tell us if you think the problem is about the capacity of the NLC. Don't you think that once the policy implemented begins to bite Nigerians, there will be spontaneous reaction among the populace, given the fact that they are already in deep trouble. The 500 naira fuel will only increase their poverty, and it's even a help if the NSC is able to coordinate resistance rather than the spontaneous reaction that might come about in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, I quite agree with you, Prof. You know, the problem with NLC is that they are actually suffering from credibility problems, you know, because of the past experiences of the people. If the if the NLC is able to lead the protest, I think it can be handled, and prevented from becoming chaotic. But if the NLC is not able to do that, and there is a spontaneous reaction, it will be very difficult to control that kind of a situation. And at the end of the day, even the government may not be able to control the situation, and it may result in anarchy. That's my fear. You remember the NSAS protest, at a point, it was almost very obvious that the government was not, going to be able to control the situation. But thank God that at least, at the end of the day, the tension came down, because the experience of the people now is that they are so fed up that the protest is likely to slide into anarchy if care is not taken. So what I'm saying in essence is that if the NLC and other labor unions are able to coordinate themselves, it will be better for the government. I won't say for this country. It will be better for the government so that the whole thing will not become a disaster. But if they are not able to do that, I think the government should prepare for a very chaotic situation. That's my opinion.
All right, I don't know if you have Mr. Diron back with us right there. I don't know if you can hear us. Mr. Diron, I guess your mic is muted. You may have to unmute your mic now. Do we have you back on?
I have done that.
All right, I was going to
Yes.
send you a message in that regard. Quickly, I want us to also look at this. Nigeria's crude oil, valued at about 1.64 trillion naira, was exchanged for refined petroleum. That's a premium motor spirit popularly called petrol, under the direct sale, direct purchase arrangement from January to August 2021, according to official data. The latest data from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited on DSDP cargoes that were swapped for refined petrol show that a total of 63.46 million barrels of crude oil were used for the scheme during the period under review. Talking about August, that's January to August 2021. Now let's look at the volume. 1.64 trillion naira was swapped our crude oil for refined product. Now we have the question of the Dangote refinery. Why our major refining capacity in the country are moribund, they are not up to capacity. And let's not forget that when the Buhari government came on board, it said it will indeed look at those monies that have been collected to actually refurbish the refineries that were looted. Nothing of such has been done. We keep hearing several billions of naira being spent to refurbish the refinery, yet they're moribund. It took the Dangote. We're also going to listen to Dangote and a few other actors, the stakeholders within the petroleum sector. Does it make any logical sense that we have swapped between January, that's what we know, to August 2021? That's what the NNPCL is telling us. We don't know more than that. That 1.64 trillion naira have been exchanged in terms of what? Of our crude oil. What sense do we make out of this?
Yes.
Mr. Dino, can you? Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, you see, my submission is not quite different from what I said earlier. You are talking of trillions, you are talking of billions. We don't know who actually got this money. So we are in the dark. And as to the question whether this administration will be able to wipe out corruption or be able to unveil a lot of things, I very much doubt it. This is a transition that took place from APC to APC. So who is going to probe who? Who is talking about corruption? When at a point in time, even the president was subjected to lots of controversy about corruption activities. So who is going to unveil it? Who is going to talk about corruption in this administration? I don't see one. I'm not talking as an opposition. I'm talking as a Nigerian, as a concerned Nigerian. But as it is, I succumb and I agree with the majority who decided that the APC should continue their, administering this country. We are in it together, and we are seeing the results. But don't let us forget that there is nothing prayer cannot do. We will continue to pray to God to guide them right, so that we can have peace of mind and we can enjoy life in Nigeria without that syndrome of Japa.
All right, Barrister.
Yes. Dino, there's this one I want to ask you, especially flowing from, what you just submitted. The welfare of the state is the highest law. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But our rulers, it appears, have chosen to honor this highest law in its breach by unleashing sorrow, tears, and blood on Nigeria and its peoples. Now, with the state of affairs, especially now, you have also said that you are doubtful about the current administration being able to resolve the logjam in Nigeria. In a situation where the rule of law has been replaced by the rule of man, where lieth our hope?
Professor, you are asking me a question that you and I know to be that as we are now, is either we are confused or we have decided to sign our freedom out, our welfare out to people who are least able to solve the problems. The unfortunate thing is, whether we like it or not, since we are operating democracy, let us assume and let us take it that majority have spoken. If, however, the campaign of PDP or the campaign of Obi, that is a better candidate to salvage the country, to put smiles on the faces of Nigerians, if Nigerians in their wisdom have rejected that offer and they decided to vote for APC for whatever reason, despite the fact that during the campaign, I often say it, I have not seen anybody that will tell me that this is the policy statement of APC throughout. We have joked about Gbolabo here and there. We have talked about Buhari, without anybody saying anything at campaign rally. In a civilized country, in an ideal situation, I don't even expect APC to even garner so much result that we will not even be able to contest it. But since it has happened, we are all in it together. Just like I said, let us continue to pray for them so that God will give them the wisdom to do the right thing.
So,
nobody is safe. We counted the number of people that lost their lives. How many people were kidnapped before Jonathan was booted out? Look, that was the campaign. How many corruption were in the open space when Jonathan was booted out? It wasn't as bad as this. We went from bad situation to the worst. And now, if there is any other word, you are a professor, I don't know any other one that is worse than worst. We are in it together. Let us continue to match it.
Well, there are no be professor with this one, although I won't become the professor thing now. Now the real prof, they deny me. This is Barrister Yomi Ogunlola. So in other words, you are saying the situation is hopeless because if the current administration cannot solve our problems, then obviously the situation is hopeless.
Exactly. That's summary. And we are just starting. When was the president sworn in? When do we run into this problem now? There are more of it that are still coming because he said it emphatically. Nigeria will suffer before you start enjoying. We only pray that some of us will still be alive to enjoy it. But if we are alive and we are suffering, and there is no doubt hope that our children are not going to suffer, we are in a deep mess.
All right, we still have Dr. Shola also still there, but then let's take this particular soundbite. And of course, that is coming from Ajero. Recently, NLC had a deadlock meeting with the federal government. And we also have Dangote on one side talking about how much more he took up the responsibility of ensuring a refinery was actually built in Nigeria. And we also have Alake in this particular insights. Let's just take a listen. We'll be right back.
As far as Labour is concerned, we did have a consensus in this meeting. Is that okay? That's the principle of negotiation. You don't put the partner, ask him to negotiate under gunpoint. Prayers of NLC is that we go back to status quo, negotiate, think of alternatives and all the effects and how to manage the effects this action is going to have on the people. If it is an action that must take off, well, the subsidy provision has been made up to the end of June. And before then, conscious people, labor, management, government should be able to think of what will happen at the end of June. You don't start it before the time. So why did they make provision up to end of June? Why is it up to now? Fine, the last administration made it up to end of June. Why can't we respect the sanctity of even that law that provided for that expenditure up to the end of June? Or what is the purpose of governance? Is it the duty of NLC to raise funds for the government, to collect tax, to sell crude at the international market when the price of crude is going high, and the government that is a major exporter of a crude product is telling him there's no money? Other countries that are in the same scenario are eating fat. Why do you keep on hammering on subsidy? What do you understand by subsidy? Has anybody explained to you the meaning of subsidy? What did they see as subsidy? Is there any country, even in the US, there's subsidy on wheat products? Is there any country that does not subsidize living of people, even if it's by providing public transportation? So those are issues we are looking at. If you're a major producer of crude and you refine abroad, you carry the crude abroad and refine and bring it, definitely there will be difference in the price. And that's what they are paying. If your fathers establish a refinery and that refinery dies in your hands and you are now refining abroad, you ask yourself some questions. We have refineries, Kaduna, Warri, Sapele, Port Harcourt. Why are they not functioning? That we have to go and refine abroad. The transportation money, the refining costs at international price or rate, and we bring it back here. And the same government pays the difference in cost of what it is here and what it's internationally. That's the subsidy they are telling you about.
Why you have a country with over 200 million and we're importing 100% of what you consume, is this not sustainable? If you go to a lot of areas, maybe my village or your village, you see that petrol stations, they are not working. So we now realize that, yes, why? Because the petroleum products that we're having is hand to mouth. Whatever that we have is what we are consuming. So this actually, pushed me into saying that, look, you know what? This is a big challenge. It's a big issue. Somebody has to address it, and we will take the challenge of addressing this issue.
The meaning of the regulation is that it depends on the market force, on the price of crude of today. Tomorrow it could be different. If the price of crude goes up, you know what that means. If the price of crude internationally goes down, it reflects on the price. So it's not because necessarily labor unions will be agitated if there's any slight change in any price of any commodity, whether it's fuel, whether it's gari or bread, labor will be agitated. That is what we are talking about. But in terms of pricing, you cannot control price when there is a deregulation.
All right, quickly, let me go to Dr. Shola Shola, and of course, is still with us remotely this morning. Doctor, you heard Alake. And of course, as a representative of the federal government at that particular meeting between NLC and of course the federal government delegation, what do we make out of what Alake is saying? That they can actually determine price. It keeps fluctuating. It is what the international market is saying that determines our own pricing here too in Nigeria. All right, doctor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, I'm saying that. Did you hear what Alake said, that the market price of crude oil is being determined? We can actually determine that, but the international market will have to determine that for us. Now, what do we make out of what he said? These circumstances.
Man, and are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, Doctor.
Mr. Alake is a government spokesman. Mr. Alake is a government spokesman. And of course, what do you expect from him? Is to defend the government.
All right, I guess that's okay. Please go ahead.
Distributed NPC MD. Are you still there?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
So, when Dangote begins, that they are not likely to come down, and I think that is wrong, and it's worthy of any protest, because by the time Dangote starts, of the finished products from abroad, the cost will be off. Will be. Can't we enjoy the difference in that? So by bringing down the cost of of consumption of fuel in this country, and I think that will be the beginning of the chaos. By the time Dangote starts now, and the government continues to, and the NNPC continues to fix the prices, then there will be trouble, because one would have thought that because of the local production, the price should come down and people should enjoy the benefits of refining the product locally. The government is not talking about that, but eventually it's going to emerge. So what is the essence of having local production if we are not going to have a reduced price?
And that's a big question here. All right, let me quickly open the phone lines as well before we continue. And of course, we continue with this conversation. In case you want to join us in this conversation, because I can see that the lines are already buzzing. The numbers are 070550949 or 080977949. And for our international audience, plus 234 9062,949. Do remember to turn down the audio on your device once you're calling us on the program this morning. Remember, it's the Podium coming to you from 32FM 94.9. We're also live on our socials on Facebook, 32FM 949 Ibadan, and of course on YouTube. All right, do we have another caller here? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, please. What's the name and where you're calling us from?
I've been following your program since the start of the program.
All right.
And this clip which you first played, obviously the guy is playing to the gallery. He doesn't know how the subsidy regime works. That is the truth about it. Let me tell you, the price of petroleum products generally, not only petrol, is determined by the price of crude oil in the international market. We have bought diesel for 900 naira a liter in January. Go and check the price of diesel now. The price of diesel is 620 naira. We have bought 12.5 kg of gas at 10,000 naira. In my area here now, at Gasland, it is 6,950 if you bring their cylinder. Those things came down because the price of crude in the international market has come down. And let me tell you one thing. All these cheap sentiments he was espousing in his video that 87 naira, where will you get fuel for 87 naira a liter all over the world? All these things are on the internet. That is our problem. That is why people that on air and people. The relevant people will answer him and all the other things.
I had a little issues with that particular network. We hope that you call us in and finish your line of thoughts there.
I don't know. I would like to...
All right, Barrister, before you go ahead, we also have another caller here. Hello, good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Yes, please. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Okay, my name is Oluwanini. I'm calling from Oyo.
All right, please go ahead.
Okay, see, let me quickly chip in something. I made mention of it earlier, when Austin was talking. I would like to make reference to it. In my elementary stage of economics, I understand one thing that is called nearest to resources. This implies that this crude is in Nigeria here. What is stopping Nigeria to be a producing state? We have it here. Why can't we build our refinery? A fresh war. We know the cost of what it will take to build a refinery, for goodness sake. An individual has been exemplified to show that a refinery can be built. What a whole nation resources we have at her hand, and we're able to do that for good 8 years. Now, I want to quickly make a reference to one of your guests there who talks about fighting corruption. This administration cannot fight corruption. Stop deceiving ourselves. The rubber stamp representative and House or Senate that we have, are they the ones that are coming back to come and decide how corruption will be cured? This is a complete, it's not a mirror. It's not possible. They can't fight corruption. It's only anti-party that can fight corruption. I don't belong to any party. I'm not in APC, PDP, or whichever one. I'm just in Nigeria. So now, I listened to Olisa Bakuba 2 days ago in one of his interviews with Arise. He made a solution of how money can be generated. These are things that need to be looking into. He talks about the Apapa. Apapa can give 20 billion naira every month. Now, his calculator is American. We can have 8 trillion in a year. Now, he talks about marine sector, which can give us another 8 trillion naira in a single year. Now, if we are to look into that area, he said, okay, if you are to take Apapa, for example, to bring Apapa to activity, you can spend about 10 to 15 billion to put it in order. Government should look towards this. They shouldn't be acting as if they are military. Why will you are just being sworn in and you declare that no subsidy ends now? What are the provisions that is going to cool down this particular Nigeria is passing through? This is not, sir. I think it's high time. It's high time because there is no way you can fight these people. They are Kaba and they are still the same people ruling us. A time is coming. I keep saying it. A time is coming. God will show forth the spirit of revolting against them by revolution.
All right, thank you so much for calling into the program. And of course, the numbers are still 070-55,949 and of course 0097949. Hello, good morning. And for international audience, plus 234 90 62,949. All right, let's see if we still have this caller there. Hello, good morning. Okay, I guess on the other line we also have another caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, please. The name and where you're calling us from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Ibadan here. From Ibadan.
Your name, please. And
can
please
you
go. Yes, we can.
Now?
Loud and clear. Please, you can go ahead.
Oh, is that Horiyomi Amjad office?
2FM, the Podium. I guess you must listen to our program. I thought you were listening before calling in. All right, the numbers are still 070-55,949 and of course 08097,949. I guess we have a caller. Yes, good morning, please. What's the name and where you're calling us from?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, I'm calling from Challenge.
All right, please go ahead.
Well done. And I've been listening to your conversation. This government is a new government. You know, it's good to criticize, but it's not good to condemn. Everybody has his own tactics, his own style. Let this man, he's a different man. He's different from the former government. He's a different man. Let's give him time. Like what somebody has just mentioned. Diesel was 800, 900, but the same diesel is 600. Gas has gone down. So I'm very sure this fuel price will actually go down. You know, in some places, they say, even in Ibadan, somebody mentioned it that has started going down. They are selling 490 something or 480 something. So let's give him a chance. Don't let us throw the child away with the bathwater. Let's give him a chance so that we can see that we have been complaining as even in his campaign. He had mentioned it that is.
All right, I don't think there's anyone here that is saying that the president should not be given a chance to perform. But I think the content of the issue this morning is fuel subsidy and how we can get out of this quagmire. All right, we have to pay some bills right about now. We'll be back shortly after this.
Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9.
Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ ilé wa.
Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ àwọn bàbá wa lóòótọ́, àmọ́ lóde ìsẹ̀yìn ìlú ti yí, orin ti chẹ́ǹjì. Àtọmọdé àtàgbà kò sẹ́ni fẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ mọ́, ẹbí wọn sì kọ́ àìnímọ̀ àti àìlóye tó nípa iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ló ń fa kùdé ìdí rèé tí ọmọ ẹlẹ́ran fi wá ń jẹ gungun. Tọ́rọ̀ bá wá rí báyìí, ó níbi tá à ń gbé ka ilé-iṣẹ́ alálùbáríkà OOK Farms ti fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ pẹ̀lú ilé-iṣẹ́ aláyọ̀ 32 FM 94.9 láti ṣe àgbékalẹ̀ ètò àrà ọ̀tọ̀ tá a pè ní Awake with OOK Farms, níbi tí àwọn àwòrò ṣàṣà nípa iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ yóò ti máa dá wa lẹ́kọ̀ọ́, gbà wá níyànjú, ró wa lágbára nípa iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ àti bí a ti lè ṣe láṣejìrì lọ́nà tó bá ti òde òní mu. Ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ ọmọ yín ọ̀rẹ́ yín Peter Ọlásùpọ̀ Captain P2 àti àwọn akọ́ṣẹ́mọṣẹ́ láti iléeṣẹ́ OOK Farms ní gbogbo ọjọ́ àbámẹ́ta sátidé láti aago 6 sí 7 ìrọ̀lẹ́ lórí ètò Awake with OOK Farms. Jí má sùn lórí iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀.
Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ká ṣiṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀.
Wákàtí 24 ní bẹ nínú ọjọ́ kan, ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀kan nínú àwọn wákàtí wọ̀nyí ló lóyún ẹ̀rí fún ọ, ó sì di dandan kó bí i. Agogo tí ń ka wákàtí ọjọ́ ti ṣetán láti ka wákàtí rẹ̀ sí ire àti ẹ̀rí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, wákàtí ẹ̀rí rẹ̀ dé lẹ́tọ̀ àdúrà orí afẹ́fẹ́ tó ń gbóná girigiri pẹ̀lú àwọn ẹ̀rí gbáǹkọ́gbì àti iṣẹ́ ìyanu lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀. Èyí tí Ọlọ́run alààyè oníṣẹ́ ìyanu fi Comrade Táíwò Àlàdé ta kókó ẹ̀. Ṣé àṣeyọ̀wò lọ́ba mi òkè tí pín ire ayọ̀ ẹ̀rí ohun ẹ̀rín fúnirúurú èèyàn lọ́nà tó wù ú tí kò sẹ́ni tí ó yẹ lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀wù. Látòrí afẹ́fẹ́ lẹ̀rí ti ń sọ̀kalẹ̀ tóníkàlùkù sì ń rí tiẹ̀ ṣe. Ó yá jẹ́ ká darapọ̀ mọ́ Comrade Táíwò Àlàdé Apostle Tekobo fún ìdáhùn àdúrà lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ lórí afẹ́fẹ́ ìyẹn lórí ìkànnì 32 FM 94.9 ní gbogbo ìdájọ́ ọjọ́ Sunday láago 6 sí aago 7 òwúrọ̀ níbi tí wákàtí ẹ̀rí rẹ yóò ti máa farahàn tẹ̀rí tọ́lá tògo ti gbẹ́dìde táráyé yóò sì máa kí ọ kú oríire wákàtí ẹ̀rí rẹ dé ìwọ gangan lẹ̀rí kan àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀rí ni wọ́n ṣonígbọ̀wọ́ ẹ̀.
32 gladiators embarked on the quest to become Europe's finest. Many ran after steam, others fell to the sword. Only one team can cross the gates into Istanbul, where the treasure lies. And only one can be crowned champions of Europe.
And they're toying with them. Bernardo Silva again! You don't save that
Will Pep Guardiola and the citizens finally bring home the much-coveted Champions League trophy, or will the Nerazzurris repeat the heroics of 2010? It's the UEFA Champions League Final 2023, and 32 FM 94.9 will bring pictures, unbeatable commentaries, and quality analysis from Istanbul to Ibadan. Live at the Racecourse Amphitheatre at Damasinga on the 10th of June 2023. There will be side attractions starting up from 12 noon, which will set the tone for Europe's biggest club competition final between Manchester City and Inter Milan. Games like snooker, table tennis, ludo, ayolokmo, chess, Scrabble, and many more will be available for your pleasure. There will be VIP seats. For reservations or sponsorship inquiries, please call 0703-476-7684 or 0703-602-1608. This event is proudly sponsored by Imperial Blue and powered by your Joy Station 32 FM 949. Champions League final in Ibadan. Don't be left out. This event is absolutely free.
Máa wò mí bí mo ṣe fẹ́ yín.
Mo ń gbọ́ 32 FM.
32 FM 94.9.
mo ní kí n rán yín létí ni o.
ṣé ti wáyà ni.
mi ò létí yín yà mo tiẹ̀ jẹ́rìí yín pé tí ẹ lè gbàgbé.
pé kí ni.
pé lọ́jọ́ àìkú Sunday tó tún bọ̀ yìí ńlá kọ́tún ètò ta ló mọlúwa.
ṣé tọ́pẹ́ fọ́làánú máa ń ṣe ni.
tó ní gègé àrà ọmọ ìyá àdúrà máa ń ṣe ni.
mo mọ̀ láago 11 àárọ̀ sí 12 ọ̀sán.
ẹ ti gẹ́ẹ̀tì ẹ̀ jù níkànnì adẹ́rìn-pòṣónú 32 FM 94.9 láti jọ máa kí oríkè Olódùmarè tẹ́ ó sì tún máa jẹ̀bù tẹ́ ẹ bá ti dán ìbéèrè láti inú Bíbélì. ètò ta ló mọlúwa tọjọ́ àìkú Sunday tó ń bọ̀ yìí tún máa dùn yàtọ̀ jọ́.
Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9.
All right, great to know that you're still there. And of course, this is still the podium coming from your darling dial, the laughter station, 32 FM 94.9. And my name is Gbolabo Famous Cole. Our panelists in the studios have been Barrister Yomi Ogunlola and, of course, Professor Remi Ayede. We also have remotely joining us as guest, we have Mr. Diron Odeyemi and, of course, Dr. Shola Ishola. And we've been opening the phone lines, but quickly I want to go to one of our socials. That's on Facebook. Okwe Adediron says, morning everyone. The NLC cannot do anything. They are just grandstanding to collect their own court too. Mark my words, a few hours to their deadline, NLC will say they are no longer going ahead because government is giving them some opaque assurances. NLC is in bed with the government. It is the masses that will bear the brunt as usual. All right, this is a major passion against the entity of the NLC here, coming from some Nigerians. And of course, I will take this from Omotayo Oluwarotimi Onobamiro says, the real problem is not the removal of subsidy. The real problem is our economy that is not productive enough so that our people cannot afford any price increase. All right, the numbers are still 070-55,949 and of course 080-97,949. And for international audience, +234 90 62,949. Barrister, you wanted to react to a particular submission by one of our callers.
Yes, I think it was the first caller who wrote of the submissions of Benedict Olomo. And I don't think that caller actually answered the questions that were posited by Benedict Olomo. And if he could not answer those questions, I don't see the appropriateness, in his own submission. Number one, is it true that the NNPC is engaged in a direct sale and direct purchase arrangement? which was highlighted by Benedict Olomo. We're not talking about whether the price of crude oil rises or falls in the market. Everybody knows that as is a natural occurrence. So the first question is the direct sale, the direct purchase arrangement. Is it true? The second point is the subsidy. Is it real or contrived? Because what Benedict was talking about is that the NNPC is the sole importer of fuel, and we all agreed with that. So who is it that is collecting, subsidy? Those issues were not addressed by that caller, and I without answering those questions, I don't know how the premises you laid can lead to the conclusion you arrived at. But then let me put a question through to our guests.
All right, before we do that, let me go back to the social. We have Idowu Lawson. He's saying the guy, still talking about Benedict Oloma, says the guy is playing to the gallery and obviously does not know how the subsidy regime works. Where in the world is petrol sold for the equivalent of 87 naira per litre? And that's a question mark. The relevant people will answer him. I can assure, though he's just playing to the gallery, I can't explain all that in this write-up. Okay. All right. Let's still open the phone lines. The numbers are still 070-55,949 or 08097,949. And for international audience, +234 9062,949. All right, Barrister, you said you have a question.
Yes, I have a question for our guests. I hope they are still there. It is most unfortunate that of all OPEC members, Nigeria finds itself in its present situation. I don't think there is any member of OPEC that does not have a functional refinery in their countries. Even Venezuela, despite the problems they have, still have a functional refinery. Now, given our experience, given our past experience or experiences, the government is now proposing to spend 11 trillion naira to rehabilitate the refineries. I want to ask our guests, can the government be trusted on this?
Which of our guests are you? Any of them can answer this?
Both of them. Both of them. If we have the two of them.
All right, we have Dr. Shola here.
Okay.
All right, please go ahead.
Yes, let me come in. Now, the government has probably even spent more than that over the years. You remember that during Obasanjo, a lot of money was spent on rehabilitation of the refineries. The same thing during, Yaradua. You even reverted the sales of the refineries. Now, the refinery repairs has since become the cesspool, of corruption in this country. If we spend 11 trillion, which is almost equivalent to the country's budget, on just 4 refineries, what sense does that make? My own view is that the refinery should just be sold off. Okay? So let private people invest in its repair. Thank God that Dangote is about to take off. Okay? So let them join Dangote, in competing for the fuel market in this country. 11 trillion is rather too much, to invest again in that. With the same set of people, the same set of NNPC, the same set of its subsidiaries that are going to be managing it, I think it's going to be a waste to invest so much of government resources into those refineries again. Sell it off and let them compete with Dangote whenever Dangote takes off in this country. That's my own view about it.
All right, let me go to Prof. Prof, any other further issues around
because,
this?
if NNPC is the sole importer of fuel and is the one always telling us how much they are paying in subsidy, in fact, the last time it says that over 400 billion monthly. What should be the role of the NNPC in a reorganized petroleum sector? Because I'm just thinking that this government came and said they've removed subsidy. What they should rather have done is to give us a plan, of how to reorganize the petroleum industry in Nigeria, especially given the existence of the Petroleum Industry Bill Act.
All right, that's one major area. Then I think we should have Mr. Dean Rodeyemi back on this particular one because I wanted to look at the blueprint of the PDP and how much more is different from what the APC is operating on. Because he indeed talked about how much more this government cannot be trusted, and Nigerians wanted this government, and they've actually gotten what they want. But now, are we not still using the same blueprint by the People's Democratic Party and the APC? When he comes back on this particular platform, we're expecting that he gets back remotely. All right, Dr. Shola, now I want to bring in the National Assembly. Now, I know as a matter of fact that there was a time the National Assembly, that's a House of Reps committee, that's adult committee investigating the daily consumption of petroleum methyl spirit in the country, demanded details of the oil consortium involved in the Nigerian National Petroleum Company (NNPC) Limited direct sale, direct purchase arrangement. Now, we know that there are a number of probes by the National Assembly to look at some of the anomalies in the petroleum sector, and of course, money is exchanging hands. There was a time Ribadu committee was actually brought up to look at some of these incidences of corruption, while we had the former Minister of Petroleum, Daisy Allison, who is in court in London now, saying that they framed her wrongly, and now she doesn't have any case to answer, and the EFCC should stop harassing her. Now, how much more do we have transparency coming from our legislatures? Are they doing the needful to look at some of the rot within the petroleum sector, or are we just going to say NNPC has done a good job and they need a pattern at the back and they should take a bow and go here?
Well, I think the members of the National Assembly can only back, they cannot bite, because they don't even have the power to implement their decision. And in any case, most of their probe, nothing has actually come out of it. It's still the same issue of corruption. By the time they invite the NNPC or its subsidiary to come, by the time those ones rub their palms, you won't hear anything about it again. But I would rather let the commercial aspect of petroleum industry be emphasized in this country. Let us put the political aspect aside, because the political aspect is what the National Assembly are always dealing with. They are not always dealing with the economic aspect of it. Yes, I quite agree that there should be no subsidy, to deceive people, But the truth of the matter is that if the remarket, situation takes place, we will even have a better deal in terms of prices than all of this, convoluted, decision. NNPC itself is not credible. That is what I've been saying. How can a company that has been privatized be now determining the price? It means it's just a monopoly. Let us find a way where other players will be active in the industry so that the price can come down. That is the only way we can, and that is why our economy has not really taken off. All our productivity has sunk in the cost of energy, and some few individuals are benefiting. That is the problem we are facing, and until we resolve that issue, let the National Assembly or whatever, let them restrict themselves to the PIB or all those whatever laws they are doing. Let the regulatory authorities be active, and let us separate them from politics. That is the only way we are going to enjoy, in this country.
All right. While we look at the kind of restructuring and reshuffling, like what Doctor mentioned about stakeholders, especially within the petroleum sector, to actually look at some of these anomalies. The numbers are still 070-55,949 or 080-97,949. All right. And of course, for our international audience, plus 234-90-62,949. The numbers again are 070-55,949 or 080-97,949. And of course, for international audience, plus 234-90-62,949. Those are the numbers to actually call into the program this morning. Still looking at the subsidy removal regime, and of course, how much more the Tinubu government is also, in the light of all of this, that there's no more pretense, there's no money to fund subsidy removal, subsidy to actually have petroleum being subsidized in the country. All right, we have a caller here. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right. The government has said, as a matter of fact, that there is not money in the coffers of the government to fund what appears to be subsidy. And of course, subsidy has to go. And that is the reality of today. All right. We don't know how much more business activities will be hampered in Nigeria. And we don't know how much more people will be able to survive this particular period at this time. All right. We're diving back to Facebook and, of course, take more comments. Okedi Babatunde is telling us this morning, subsidy is gone. For Dangote to survive, subsidy must go. Let NLC sponsor bill to make legislative business a part-time. We'll come back to that. We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right. He's saying, as a matter of fact, NLC sponsor bill to make legislative business a part-time, which cuts down cost of governance. We are not going on protest or strike with the NLC. Let negotiation continue until we arrive at a workable solution. All right. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, please.
Hello. Good morning.
Yes, please. What's the name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Oyo State here.
All right.
Oyo.
All right.
My
Please
name
go
is
ahead.
Francis. I've listened to the conversation over the radio. What I always say to this matter is the government, President Asiwaju, that are just coming. Well, we should, according to us, people are saying we should give him time. But what I expect him to do first, instead of the subsidy matter, we are going into this border closure to do something needs, because people of Nigeria now need food, not any other thing else. But at present, we need food. So the border should be open.
He's talking about, all right, I guess we have Mr. Dimo back with us on remotely. Do we have him back? Okay. All right, while we wait for him to come back, he's actually showing indication that he's coming back. We're hoping that he's listening to us, that he gets back with the network. All right, we take another caller here this morning. Our time is actually fast spent. All right, we have another caller. Let's also take this before going to Mr. Diron. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, hello, good morning, ma.
Good morning.
Jide.
Okay.
From Mokola.
All right, please go ahead.
Now, I want to ask a question. Please, now they are not paying subsidy again, and they said the price.
I can hear you now. I'm lying. I'm online.
Okay. All right, Jide, we hope that you call us back. I guess your line went off. We're hoping that you get us back on your line of thought, but we have Mr. Diron Odeyemi back with us. Now, I want to put this to you straight off, Mr. Diron. Now, what is the blueprint of the People's Democratic Party? Is it different from what the APC is operating upon? Your party was in government for 16 years. And, of course, the issue of subsidy, there have been subsequent attempts, as at then, by the past president under your party to actually have fuel subsidy, removed, as a matter of fact. And that same template is what the APC apparently appears to be working on. So can we exonerate your political party or even any politician from what we're suffering today? Is it not the same eye problem the PDP was suffering from that the APC has actually inherited, if at all this is a major eye problem in terms of the petroleum sector deregulation that we're seeing?
It is very wrong to talk about PDP at this time. Why are you talking about PDP? What is the business of PDP in this crisis or in this problem now? We have not been in government for the past 8 years. And going forward, APC won the election. So why are we talking about PDP? What has PDP got to do with all these problems or with all this crisis? Whether we have solution or whether we have a blueprint, whatever it is we have, to what extent will it help the situation? We are not in government, we are not in power.
All right, obviously. Okay, please go ahead.
You're asking whether PDP has a blueprint or what. It doesn't really matter now. That's not what we should be talking about.
Thinking that the PDP started the process of enacting the Petroleum Industry Act, did not succeed, and in 2021, the APC succeeded at least in enacting the act. And I think part of the provisions of that act is that the industry should become more competitive. Don't you think that the removal of subsidy is part of this process of implementing the act?
I've just answered the question, severally. That you are talking of subsidy that many Nigerians, even the literates, does not even know the figure of what is going on. You're talking of subsidy, you're talking of how much has been taken from the federal allocation for subsidy. To what extent are these realistic? We don't know. There is not enough education and there's not enough information to Nigerians. I think the whole thing is being operated among cartel, among the people who knows, subsidy exists somewhere and they are cutting the money. So if you are telling us it is some people that are benefiting from the subsidy, to us as it is now, it is the pharmacies that are suffering. So if some people are benefiting and the masses are getting at cheaper prices, the masses are not suffering. Whatever it is that will put smiles on their faces is what is my concern. So if you are removing it, so be it, good. But it is not the appropriate time to do it. There is no, there should have been a way of cushioning the effect of that removal before you unplug the lifeline from Nigeria. That is the issue.
All right,
so
you
whether
okay?
PDP has a policy on what, it doesn't even count now. It doesn't matter. We have been out of government for 80 years. We are going into another 4 years. So don't let us talk about PDP did not do this, PDP did not do that.
All right, no one is actually passing aspersion on the People's Democratic Party. What we are saying is that government is a continuum, and we do believe that there is a particular template that has been laid by the People's Democratic Party. Because I'm wondering, what template was Jonathan going to work with at that time? He was trying to remove that. Now, if you look at, okay, please go ahead. But if you look at all of this put together,
Look at it this way. PDP lost an election 80 years ago due to perhaps some of the policies enacted which Nigerians felt were not too good for them. They needed a better government to come into power. And that was the reason why they voted APC. So whatever has been the policy of PDP that is wrong, APC should have right it.
So there is an admittance that there could be some wrongs, okay?
Exactly. So if nothing is done, for 80 years, you cannot even talk about PDP again this time around. There's no basis for it. Leave PDP out of all these issues because they are out of. If you cannot solve a problem for 80 years, and you are now referring to a government that was not in power for 80 years, then you don't have any solution. You are just looking. It's a bad workman that blames his tools for a job badly done. Stop blaming PDP. Stop asking questions about PDP. PDP has enough problem to handle than to now take another blame that APC did not do something for 80 years or because it was a policy enacted 80 years. So what are you looking for? If within 80 years you cannot correct such policy, leave PDP out of this issue, please.
Okay, the PDP obviously is not on trial. All right, Barrister.
Yes, I really enjoyed your response, to the question, because right now, some of us are happy that unlike what happened during the Buhari years, there will be no PDP to blame now if anything goes wrong with the administration of the PDP, APC rather. Now, I am looking at something. The Nigerians appear to be putting all their hopes on the Dangote refinery. But the truth of the matter is the Dangote refinery has not been voted as good to go because it is yet to go through the 90-day mandatory test run to ascertain, its workability. Now, it is in that respect, that I am bringing in this question on the modular refineries. Don't you think the time has come for Nigeria to look in that direction, build a framework, and allow the modular refineries make their contribution to the downstream sector?
All right, did you get the question, Mr. Diro? I guess your mic is muted. You can actually unmute your mic. Okay, please go ahead.
I didn't get the question. I thought, it was a discussion. I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
okay.
Now, I said, okay, I
Yes.
said, right now, Nigerians appear to be putting all their hopes on
Yes, on the-
Dangote refinery, even though Dangote refinery is yet to go through the mandatory 90-day test run to ascertain its workability. So I am asking, isn't it time, considering the situation we find ourselves, isn't it time to look in the direction of the modular refineries, put up a framework, and quality control from the NNPC and see what contribution they can make to the downstream sector?
If I have my way, I would have recommended you to be part of the team that will work with the present administration of APC. Because what you are saying is the ideal thing, is the ideal situation of things. Let me take you back. Part of the promises made by APC, by Buhari, was that they were going to repair the refinery. Don't let us go into the aspect of the health, whereby he said Nigerian officers or officials will not need to travel abroad for medical solutions. Whereas the moment he said that, he was the first victim to travel out of the country, for medical treatment. Now, if an administration promised that they were going to work on the refinery to ensure that the price of petroleum comes down, which invariably will affect the life of an average citizen, and nothing is done for 4 years. You are now talking of a policy that should automatically start working at the inception of a new administration by the same APC. The question we should ask ourselves is, what we should accept now is that Nigerians deserve the kind of leaders they get. Because if not, we have suffered enough in this country to now see APC coming back as a political party. We have suffered enough in this country to know that promises made by APC in the past have been failed, have not been fulfilled. If we are talking of a government that has a plan, then that is what you are saying now should work out. Before you start a policy, before you start an action, you look at it. You do the SWOT analysis. What are the weaknesses? What are the strengths? What are the opportunities? But has this government done anything, even if Buhari at the tail end of the dispatch of
All right, Mr. Dino, our time is actually fast running. From your submission so far, I'm wondering if there's a political solution to all of this, because no matter how we look at this from the economic aspect, are we going to ignore the fact that it has some sort of political undertone? And how much more can political solution be brought to the fore here? Because you talked about, there's no how we talk about the subsidy regime without actually mentioning some past leaders and not also taking our eyes away from the political party in which they operated from, which we also have the PDP playing a major part in all of these instances, even without putting the PDP on trial. Now, is there any form of political solution to all of this before going back to Doctor, as we actually take your view on that?
I don't understand any political situation we should be talking about. The only solution that I know that should happen now is for the government to go back to the issue of subsidy and set a timeline through which they can correct or cushion the effect of its removal, not an outright removal as they have done now. They have done it in a very wrong way. If at all, it's going to be beneficiary to Nigerians. The people that you think will benefit from the total outcome of the removal would have been dead before there's nothing left. There will be nothing for anybody to enjoy again. So the only solution is revert back to the old order, replan and rework things, so that we all will understand what we are doing as a citizen, as leaders.
Let me quickly go back to Dr. Shola. I'm going to pose the same question, but in this manner. Now, I look at the political solution here. We have the likes of Gowon. We have other past leaders that are still present within this particular administration whose voices could still be heard. We still have the likes of Obasanjo. Now, Doctor, do you think that these people could have some sort of world of experience in terms of a political weight to actually pull in resolving what appears to be the subsidy crisis we have in the country? And how much more do we need to look at some of the activities in time past?
Well, during the time of Gowon, I don't think there were subsidies. Even though I was very young then, but I remember that even when our father asked us to go and buy fuel, we even buy the liters in Kobo during that time. Now, I don't know if Obasanjo's experience will be able to help us in this situation. Because the economy that we have now has moved beyond Obasanjo's generation. And I would be surprised if the core planners of this economy, still consist of the people from that generation, apart from probably being in advisory position and the rest. So I don't think people like Obasanjo will have, because he was there for 8 years. He never, brought any changes to the situation. And, my friend that is talking about PDP, PDP is actually at the root of the problems that we are having now. That is the truth of the matter. It's only if they are not ashamed that they will shift the entire blame on the ruling party. If they had done the right thing at that time, there wouldn't be all of this problem. So what I'm saying in essence is that we have to go back to the drawing board and draw on, expert solution and create intellectual platform for our economy, so that the global economy, will, not have too much effect on our domestic, our economy. I heard somebody saying that it is the global prices that determines, the local. It's a lie. If you go to Venezuela, the price of fuel in Venezuela is far lower, and they are also oil producing company. So what I'm saying is that if we have a Dangote or any private person, in this country who are drawing crude from local reserve without going to the international environment to now transport crude again, I don't know the reason why the price of fuel should not be halved for the for the economy of this country to benefit from. So we need to go back to the drawing board, and call intellectuals to think through, and international, planners to assist us. But drawing from old political cargo, I don't think is a solution to this problem.
Cargo. All right, let's take one more call before calling it a day. Our time is actually fast spent. We have one particular message here. The numbers are still 070550949 or 080977949. Of course, we've been given signals that we have to leave the studios now. Quickly, within 20 seconds, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
Please, can you allow me to speak in Yoruba?
Please go ahead.
Very orosite 1983 ló ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ láyé ìdí àgbọn Buhari rẹ̀ sí.
Oh, okay. I guess the line actually has issues there, and we have to go. Our time is actually fast spent. All right, this is actually lengthy, and this is from Engineer Solomon. And of course, let me summarize is that before long, price fixing is not subsidy removal. Buhari said the same thing when increasing fixed price. They said they will allow market forces to determine further prices, future prices. It never happened. Next, they talk about palliative, which they hoard in warehouses or buy few buses and promise to buy more, which do not benefit the vast majority of 230 million Nigerians. Before long, Buhari devalued our currency without corresponding increase in salaries. Then they will tell us in America, gasoline is sold for 1.2 USD per liter. Therefore, it is no longer feasible to sell at current prices. Subsidy must be removed. This is a trend, my kindred. If they pay me American salary, I will gladly buy at an American rate. Meanwhile, in Venezuela, it is 14 naira per liter, even with a massive sanction on them. the freezing of the asset, and their minimum wage of circa 5,000 naira. I don't know if you still have opportunity to pick one more call before taking it off and running off. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, please. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Quickly.
Okay, my name is Emmanuel. I'm calling you from Ogunpa.
All right, please go ahead, Emmanuel, quickly.
Okay, I've been listening for what people have been doing since morning. I like the way they're analyzing something, the way the people in the street is analyzing something. You know, I'm all the way from Enugu State to Oyo State. So what I want to say is that, you know, this thing has been first out of hand. It's just a pay subsidy. You know, it's so much that you will suffer with. We are into it now. So, NLC to go into strike, it cannot be possible. They should negotiate it. Sit down and negotiate with our government.
All right. It's a question of negotiation. We hope that Labour will actually get that done. All right. We must say a big thank you. Prof, do you have anything to say before calling it a day?
Well, I think the Petroleum Industry Act is very clear about petroleum pricing, and it says that free market should operate and that the responsibility of the Commission for Petroleum is to create that condition. And I don't think this approximates to merely removing subsidy. The government needs to go beyond subsidy to create the condition for free market in that downstream.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. We must say a big thank you to our panelists and also our guest remotely this morning. We must say a big thank you to Mr. Diron Odeyemi and, of course, the PDP stalwart and Dr. Sholai Shola from UI Peace and Strategic Studies Department. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us remotely this morning. And to all our listeners and our callers this morning, we'll say a big thank you. Any last word from you, Barrister, as we call it today?
Well, maybe when next we have our discussion, we'll have to look at the other stakeholders in the game, the militants.
Okay. The critics. Those are the critics. Wow. All right. On that note, we say a big thank you. My name is Gbolabo, famous call. Bye for now.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
My people, how on a day? My name is Alibaba. This is 94.9, 32 FM. Shine your 32. Hey, tell me about 32 FM. Let's go, yo. 94.9.
Happy people.
Grab somebody sexy, tell them.
Happy music. Happy vibes. 32 FM 949.
I'm ahead of them, Ashiwaju.
Hey, let me tell you something.
Go ahead.
In a city with many radio stations, so many programs to listen to, one radio station stands out because you're always on our mind. We want you to laugh, be happy, be informed, and listen to the best of music and comedy.
Me, I'm like money and they smell like.
From the ancient city Ibadan to the world, anywhere you are, day and night. Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9 or listen live on www.32fm.com.ng.
Fly Abu Dhabi, fly to each and every country. Yeah, baby, allow me, you allow me.
32 FM, filling the world with laughter.
Give it up for my DJ. The hits are here.
32 FM 94.9.
tó bá jẹ́ tètò tó kọ́ni lọ́gbọ́n orin àtàṣà táyé fẹ́ máa gbọ́ eré aládùn eré ìdárayá ìròyìn àsìkò tó bójú owó kápolówó ọjà kájẹ́ bó bàjẹ́ 32 FM ló yẹ ká máa gbọ́ 32 FM àwọn ìròyìn jákèjádò àgbáyé àwọn ìròyìn eré oníṣẹ́ oríṣiríṣi 94.9 lágbẹ́ kúrò wálé kẹ́ 32 FM.